Communities across America have been plagued by the numerous problems associated with illicit drug use and those that traffic in them. And whereas there is hope in winning the war on drugs, and that hope lies in education and drug demand reduction, coupled with the hard work and determination of organizations such as the Mecklenburg County Young Marines of the Marine Corps League to foster a healthy, drug-free lifestyle. And whereas governments and community leaders know that citizen support is one of the most effective tools in the effort to reduce the use of illicit drugs in our communities. And whereas the red ribbon has been chosen as a symbol commemorating the work of Enrico Kiki Camarino, a Drug Enforcement Administration special agent who was murdered in the line of duty, and represents the belief that one person can make a difference. And whereas the Red Ribbon Campaign was established by Congress in 1988 to encourage a drug-free lifestyle and involvement in drug prevention and reduction efforts. And whereas October 23 through 31st has been designated National Red Ribbon Week, which encourages Americans to wear a red ribbon to show their support for a drug-free environment. Now, therefore, I, Bobby G. Hugo, Mayor of Monroe, do hereby proclaim October 23 through 31st, 2017 as Red Ribbon Week in the city of Monroe, and urge all citizens to join in this special observance. In witness thereof, I hereunto sign my name and the seal of the city of Monroe to be affixed this third day of October 2017. Bobby Hugo.
Who will be receiving this, you, sir?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I'd like to present this to you.
Yes,
Say
sir.
thank you very much for allowing us to be part of this, and we appreciate you coming down.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, I think we ought to introduce our young Marine.
Absolutely. Please.
Come on up here and tell us who you are.
Private Parnell, ma'am.
Private Parnell.
Just been up in Mecklenburg County for 2 years now. I met with my sisters. We both live together.
I think we ought to shake his hand.
I think so. Would you come by, let's
Come
shake
on
your
through
hand.
here. Let's shake your hand.
Absolutely. Come on up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
How you doing, brother? Good. Glad to have you.
Thank you, sir, very much. Consent agenda this time. Gabe, I recognize you for
Thank
an
you.
item on which consent agenda.
Mayor, with respect to item number 18, which is the zoning map amendment request to rezone property located at 402 East Patton Avenue from general business to conditional district 402 East Patton Avenue, the applicant has requested that the council continue this hearing from today to a future council agenda, and based on conversations with all the attorneys involved, the date that we would move it to would be your December 5 meeting. We originally thought we'd move it to November 14th, but it turns out the attorney representing the city, Chuck Kitchen, is not available for that meeting, so we'd have to go to the December 5 meeting. The reason they've requested it is because they have an expert witness consultant that can help explain their business. They have an electronic gaming establishment, and one of the issues that has come up is what that establishment does, what the machines do. They feel it's important to their case to provide council with information on what exactly their machines do, and as a result, that the expert witness that they have is essential to the presentation of their case. From a staff perspective, we don't support or oppose the request, and we know that typically when folks have made that kind of request in the past, usually everybody gets at least one shot at it. So what I'd say is they've made that request. And if you're going to continue it, we'd ask to be continued to December 5 without need for further advertising. If council has any other questions, I'm happy to answer them, but also the applicant's attorney is here if there are any questions council has.
Is anyone here tonight was come for this particular hearing for the Patton Avenue hearing, is what he was just speaking, is gonna be postponed? I just didn't want anybody to sit through the whole meeting. You're welcome to stay if you are, but we didn't want you to sit through the whole meeting and not realize it had been continued. And if there's a question why, I think he's explained that. So that will be continued to
Actually, Mayor, you need a motion from a member to continue that item to the December 5 council meeting without further advertising.
I just wanted to be sure that when some folks out here are gonna be sitting here for an hour thinking it was gonna come up. That's all I was trying to make clear now. Do I have a motion?
Before we entertain the motion, if we continue to December 15, will we be?
December
still
5.
December 5, accepting requests for continuity.
At that point, what was, from a staff perspective, we wouldn't encourage it unless there's a unforeseen circumstance. But they've made the request. We've actually then had to ask it to be moved to December 5 because of our availability. It would be this staff's hope that it would be heard on December 5, unless something happens that, for example, the applicant's attorney is somehow unavailable, as in they got hit by a car or our attorney got hit by a car. That would be the type of example where we would say to you that we need to come back at a later date. But the plan would be to go forward on December 5.
No, yeah, December 5, we're gonna hear it unless it's some.
It's always bad when lawyers get hit by cars.
And then so moved.
That depends.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Okay, that is continued to December 5.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Okay, Larry, I'll recognize you.
Please don't hit the lawyers with a car on their way out.
Sorry, folks, I just wanted to be sure that you knew. I didn't want you to sit and wait.
Okay, well, thank you.
Mayor, before we go to the consent agenda, I'd like to pull off items 7 and 8 for discussion, please.
I know they were here for it. I'm glad I did that. Wow.
She say 17?
7 and
8.
Oh, 7.
All right, what number again, please?
We're going to pull off number 7 and 8.
Okay, we want to go through the consent agenda, then you come back to that.
That's fine.
Let's go ahead and do the consent agenda then.
All right, thank you, Mayor, members of City Council. The council uses the consent agenda to consider items that are not non-controversial and routine. The consent agenda is acted upon by one motion and vote of council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda at the request of a council member or a citizen with the consent of council. The consent agenda contains the following items. Item number 2 is for the purpose of approving sidewalk improvements for U.S. Highway 74 and U.S. Highway 601, which includes an 8-foot sidewalk along both sides of U.S. Highway 601 at an estimated cost to the city of $252,000 and change. Item 3 is for the purpose of approving 2 budget amendments. The first is offering hearing aid coverage for retirees at the same rate as active employees. The second is for the purpose of allocating $83,000 and change in federal grant funds and to appropriate $27,000 and change from fund balance to the city's match associated with the Staffing for Adequate Fire Emergency Response Grant, SAFER is the acronym, which funds the hiring of 3 firefighters. Item 4 is for the purpose of calling for a special meeting on November 14th, at 4 p.m. to discuss the potential public facility building projects involving police, fire, and senior center. Item 5 is for the purpose of calling for a public hearing on November 14th to consider a zoning map amendment request for property located at 2751 Old Charlotte Highway from general business to conditional district private enterprises. Item 6 is for the purpose of adopting a capital project budget ordinance that accepts and allocates a $100,000 grant from the North Carolina Department of Commerce for the Center Theater project. Items 7 and 8 have been pulled from the consent agenda. And item 9 is for the purpose of approving the budget amendment and awarding the contract for the City Hall chiller unit, which is a HVAC system, to Facility System Services, Inc. in the amount of $180,000 and change. Item 10 is for the purpose of approving a capital project budget ordinance and contract award to Shook Construction for the water treatment plant improvement project in the amount of $5,473,000 and change, and to approve the engineering services contract with Black & Veatch in the amount of $345,000 and change. Item 11 includes minutes and reports lettered 11A through G. 11A involves disbursements, and there was one set of disbursements by the governing body this period. Council member Saluda Anthony made 2 disbursements, first of which was the Boots and Bow Ties event for the Union County Community Shelter in the amount of $60, and the second was to the Union County NAACP annual fundraiser and banquet in the amount of $30. 11B is financial reports, and as a summary, the total fund balance is $27 million and change. The unassigned general fund balance is $5 million and change, and the assigned balance is $1.8 million and change. There are 4 sets of minutes lettered 11C through F. 11G is a summary of contracts awarded, change orders approved, and city manager's settlement of claims. And there were 50 contracts for the period totaling $480,000 and change, and there are no claims settled this period. Item 12 is for the purpose of approving the amended legal description of annexed property totaling 17.6 acres located at Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Weddington Road. Item 13 is for the purpose of adopting the resolution purchasing property located at 720 Charlotte Avenue in the amount of $120,000 plus taxes, and to use the remaining project funds for site work to include but not limited to demolition. Item 14 is for the purpose of approving tax releases for the month of August in the amount of $1,358 and change. Mayor, members of the City Council, this concludes my analysis of items placed on the consent agenda for your consideration.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the consent agenda is approved. Item 7, Mr. Desire.
Well, we pulled these items off, and the reason that we did is both of these items come through the General Services Committee, and we discussed the airport in that committee, and we'd like to have an update from the airport chairman.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a privilege tonight to talk a little bit about the EDC and the airport. They basically go hand to hand. The airport is your hub, and your umbrella out is the industrial park. Since 2007, our industrial recruitment, we have had $842,930,000 worth of new business to come into to the city of Monroe. That accounts to 2,045 jobs. In and around, expanding out a little bit further, 29 companies totaling 3,540 jobs. Payroll on the low would be 136 million to a high of 200 million. Without this, your tax rate on your home and all in the city of Monroe right now would be 12 cents higher. You wouldn't be paying 59 cents, you'd be paying 71 cents. And at the time that we pushed for the industrial park and the expansion of the airport, there was a lot of push for residential. I don't know if you're aware of this, but anytime we build a house in the city less than $325,000, the city loses money. You got police, you got fire, you got water, sewer. So if we go in there and you build a $250,000 house, the city does not cover all the expenses. So your taxes actually could have been a little bit higher than the 71 cents. Back in 2015, we had a study done by a consultant to actually look and see if we were where we needed to be as far as our airport is concerned. And I'd like to read just a couple of items to show you I think we're more than there. Businesses located in Union County already have access to extensive passenger air service to any point on the globe. Though the many airlines that serve Charlotte Douglas International, but many businesses prefer the convention and efficiency of travel by corporate aircraft. And for all those that are located in Union County, the airport is a more convenient, more efficient alternative than CLT. To be competitive in the effort to convince these businesses to select Monroe or Union County, all of the city, county, and other towns and cities in Union County would be wise to continue to support the quality of infrastructure that presently characterizes the airport. Such support should be essential for the economic development strategy of our community. As it is right now, in the past, we had a separate county EDC board, we had a separate city EDC board. We don't now, we have one board. And Chris Patay chairs that, and Mr. Patay sitting in the back, standing in the back. The role of the airport in future efforts to attract business and industry to Union County can scarcely be overstated. To many businesses, proximity to airports and air service is a major factor in selecting the location to start or expand their business. For businesses that do not have such requirements, the existence of an airport will not act as a deterrent, but for businesses that have such a requirement, the absence of an airport would be fatal to a community prospect. The challenges for Monroe and Union County is to build on early success by developing and implementing a market strategy for the airport. It appears to me the community has already taken important first steps in this regard. A visit to the airport reveals an impressive array of industrial development on properties proximity to the airport. The city and county have recognized the importance of the airport to attracting and keeping a growing aerospace industry base in Monroe, and in 2013 unified their economic development efforts under a single umbrella in order to more clearly focus the community effort to attract even more business to the Monroe Airport Industrial Zone. Although such a study exceeds the scope of this letter, I would expect interviews with the operation of these facilities would reveal that proximity to the airport played an important role in the decision on where to build the facility. And the consultant, in conclusion, the citizens of Monroe and all Union County are blessed to have one of the best general aviation airports anywhere in the state for the size of the population. It is important that the benefits of the airport be communicated to all citizens and that the community continue its efforts to build on this past success in attracting clean industry to Union County. Although the city may be successful in operating the airport on a self-sustaining basis, there will be periodic capital investments necessary to preserve and grow the asset. The continued success of the airport and general business in Union County will continue to require community support for needed capital investment. Finally, the local government and the county will have to turn to working together for the common good to be an attractive location for new business. One thing that's very interesting, Monroe, North Carolina, we haven't had interstate, but yet we are considered number one in North and South Carolina in recruiting and retention of aeronautical industry. We're number 3 in the Southeast and in the top 10 of the United States. ATI, which is Teledyne, is the second largest producer of titanium in the world. I think it's something to be proud of. Our EDC director, was it 2015, Chris? 2016 was elected as the EDC director of the state of North Carolina, which is a high honor. And Peter, who does our airport, does a great job. A lot of people had some questions. Why do we call our airport Charlotte Monroe Executive Airport? Well, it actually was suggested from a committee in Raleigh. We went to Charlotte, we went to the mayor, we went to the Chamber of Commerce, we went to Jerry Orr at the Charlotte International Airport and got approval to call it Charlotte Monroe Executive Airport. If you're flying in a corporate jet and you see Monroe, North Carolina, you don't know where it's at. But if you see Charlotte Monroe, you know where it's at. And that has paid some rewards. We've had planes that said, you know, we didn't know where you were, but when we saw Charlotte, when you had to be close by. Another thing that we have been fortunate enough is to have customs. Just recently, Sarah Bath Company would have transferred to Charleston if we did not have customs. That was a necessity that they had to have, and then they stayed and also expanded their company. It'll take time to completely grow customs, but I tell you one thing, Concord would love had it, but we got it. I, for one, am very proud that what we're doing as far as payroll. Look, if we had all residential up there and no industry, your taxes are going to be way higher. And not only did we create jobs, we created a base payroll that's going to be spent throughout the county. So, for one, I chair the Airport Commission. I'm proud of Peter and I'm proud of Chris at EDC. And tonight, number 7 and number 8, we'll be doing exactly what the consultant said. We're going to be building some new hangars, which will house jets that will be coming in corporate-wise, which means we're growing the airport. Peter has done a good job. We just completely redid the airport on instrument landing. We have the same instrument landing system at Charlotte Sky. Everything in it's brand new. The state is going to provide us with all new taxiway lights. And see if I get this right, Peter, we're getting about $1.3 million out of the FAA for ramp work?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And we also have a state maintenance program of $87,000 just to do regular maintenance, crack seals, and rejuvenation of the taxiway, the parallel taxiway.
If you hadn't been out there, you ought to ride out. Our air show is great. It'll be coming up shortly, and I think you'll find that our terminal building does not back up to anything. It's first class. So I just want to give the residents and the council an update on where we are, and hopefully the good work that Chris and Pete have been doing will continue, and will continue to grow.
I understand the hangar is already rented. Is that right?
That's correct.
Or you got a plane to go in it?
We also will be having a brand new maintenance hangar built too.
Okay, any questions?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve number 7 and 8.
I'll second that.
All right, have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Hearing any? Okay, that's passed. I'm gonna go just a little bit out of order on I'm gonna go to item 20, if it's all right. Item 20, litter busters of Union County. We're glad to listen to you at this time.
Hi, my name is Mike Winchester. I'm with Litter Busters, and I want to thank you guys for having us have the opportunity here to kind of introduce ourselves. You know, it used to be nice when you travel down the highway and see someone actually stopping and picking up litter. It was especially nice, and I live on Olive Branch Road. I used to ride down the road all the time, and I see Loretta Mellershon. And she was not just picking up litter, she was picking up litter every day. And it was absolutely amazing. So I thought it'd be real nice if I'd just stop and thank her. Think of what a great job she's doing. And I did. Well, once I started talking to Loretta, I found out something that she's a lot more about than just picking up litter. That she's actually very involved in the awareness of litter and everything involved in a sense of community when it comes to environmental causes and that type of thing. And actually, as a matter of fact, by the time I met her, she had already met with the Department of Transportation, she had met with the city, she had met with the county, and she had been asked to put together kind of a community group in trying to attack the litter problem. And that's when I got involved with it. And then I started looking at some numbers. And I realized that North Carolina Department of Transportation spent $16 million last year picking up litter. That's litter that's out there that shouldn't have been there to begin with. Keep America Beautiful has actually stated that litter causes an $11.5 billion hit on the economy annually. So when you start putting all that together, picking up litter is not really just nice. It's a necessity. So basically, we got with Loretta, and we formed Litter Busters. I kind of just want to kind of give a brief history of our accomplishments in just the first 10 months of our group. In December, January, and February of this past year, Loretta personally adopted a portion of Olive Branch Road, then went from Highway 200 to the Meadow Landing subdivision. And that's when, of course, I met with Loretta and found that she had already done a ton of work when it comes to putting together a litter program. In March, Loretta personally had picked up 79 bags of litter from Olive Branch Road alone, by herself, tirelessly working every day. I got involved with it. We started calling ourselves Litter Busters. In April, we participated in the Department of Transportation's Litter Sweep. The Department of Transportation actually has 2 sweeps, one in April and one in September, 3 weeks each of the month. In April as well, Loretta was interviewed in WIXE. As a matter of fact, just 3 weeks ago, Loretta and I were also interviewed again at WIXE, kind of promoting, volunteers and that type of thing. We were also Loretta was also interviewed in a downtown station, I think 99.1 this summer. We developed our own Litter Buster Facebook page. And I encourage all of you guys too to become friends of our Facebook page. A lot of information on it, as well as our accomplishments. In May, we were interviewed by the Monroe Inquirer Journal. And kind of an update on that, 3 weeks ago, we were actually kind of the headlines on the Sunday edition of the Monroe paper, talking about basically our efforts when it comes to the Department of Transportation sweep. We also had a letter published that was from Loretta addressing the concerns she had about litter, but not just the concerns, but actually what she was doing about it. And at that point in time, we also developed our own litter buster branding. And you'll see that on the side of our cars, you'll see it on the highways when we're working, you'll see it everywhere we go trying to get that message across, trying to increase that awareness. In June, we introduced ourselves to the county commissioners. We also met with Carol Hambridge of the City of Monroe and the Stormwater Division. And Carol has put together a terrific program regarding the, basically the education to school children when it comes to pollution as regards to stormwater. And of course, that has a tremendous relationship with what our interests are. We also adopted North Sutherland Avenue. And if you're familiar with North Sutherland Avenue, it basically connects 601, it's non-residential, to Highway 200. And I tell you, there's a tremendous amount of trash just thrown out right there. I spend most of my Sundays out there picking up a little litter myself. By July and August, we had picked up 120 bags of litter, primarily on Olive Branch Road in North Sutherland. We also adopted a creek. We also adopted Bearskin Creek, which really is a long creek running from the park all the way to 74. And if you really want a good understanding of why you need to adopt streams and creeks, unfortunately, look into that creek and you'll see why it is extremely dirty, extremely littered, and we'll be working on that in November. We also adopted another additional portion of Olive Branch Road from Mallow Landing subdivision all the way to Austin Cheney. And for those who are familiar with that road, that's basically the road to the landfill. So you can imagine how much litter we have on that. But given the 4-mile stretch from Highway 200 all the way to Austin Cheney, Loretta's 2 miles she adopted personally, along with Litter Buster's adoption of the other 2 miles, we now have that entire section of highway adopted. Going forward, we want to get into the school systems. We want to develop an education program just like the Stormwater Department has. We're going to be participating in the Christmas parade. We want to be involved in a lot of downtown events, again, pushing our brand, pushing the awareness. You know, here we are introducing ourselves to the City Council. We're also going to be involved with more area cleanups and more Department of Transportation sweeps. Matter of fact, the September sweep just ended, and that was 9/16, 9/23, and 9/30. And in those 3 weeks, we picked up 101 bags of trash, most of which came from Olive Branch Road. We also worked in conjunction with Waste Pro, who came out to help us one time on Saturday, and also Community Church of Monroe. So we're developing partnerships, and we're also developing a lot of volunteers. Going forward, I want to develop a biodegradable car litter bag. I mean, whatever happened to car litter bags? I mean, you don't even have ashtrays nowadays to put your litter in. So, there's a better chance of it going out the window. So I'm working on something like that. More volunteers, more educational programs for scouts and churches. Continue to push in our brand. We're going to develop a very interactive website. In 2019, we want to have more road adoptions. We're going to have more stream adoptions, more creek adoptions, and basically participate in any kind of relevant public municipal meeting and continue our focus on any kind of funding and partnership opportunities we can come up with. And basically that's what we've done at this point. I also wanted to say too that, I'm essentially from Monroe. My mom and dad was born in Westy Chapel. I've seen the growth this area has had in the last 50 to 60 years, and that's remarkable. It's very nice. Of course, along with that growth come opportunities. Some of the opportunities, again, is litter control. That's what Litter Buster is all about. Loretta's our litter queen. She's sitting here with a tiara. She's very, very shy.
I wanted to introduce myself as the litter queen. I don't know who started all this, but it's a title that I have accepted and I'm very proud of. Wink and I, he's a little hesitant about being my king, but I think I have talked him into being king in the Christmas parade. However, he has problems with a crown, so we're looking for a substitute.
Thing you're working on.
He's really been a wonderful help in all of this. There's no way that I could have done this without his help, and he keeps me on track. I tend to go in different directions.
Miss Loretta,
I think you need to be the king in the parade.
I'm afraid I have no choice.
Miss Loretta, to you and Mike, and of course to your organization. I don't know who all's here, but to speak to all of you, thank you for what you do. Y'all are making a tremendous difference in this county, in this city, and we just want to say thank you. And I will not call you and wake you up anymore at 5:30 in Texas.
That's right. He did. And I do want to introduce my silent partner here, my husband, Lynn. And without his silence, I could not do all these things.
Well, we do want to thank you very, very much for what y'all do, and just continue the good work, Mike.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for all
Thank
your
y'all.
time.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, we'll go to the regular agenda now. Item 15, I believe I'm right. Item 15, Level 3 Economic Development Grant from Wilson Company.
Mayor, Council, Manager Faison, it's my pleasure to bring before you tonight an Economic Development Incentive Grant request by Goulston Technologies, previously referred to as Project Quantum. Goulston Technologies has been in Monroe since 1969, located on Johnson Street, where they employ 125 people, and those 125 people earn an average annual wage of $67,000 per year. Excellent paying salaries. They produce surface modification products used in the manufacture of textiles, personal care products, and household goods. The company is considering its Monroe location for a two-phase expansion project totaling approximately $35,700,000. Phase 1, valued at $6.2 million, will include the construction of a 50,000 square foot structure that will initially function as distribution space. That construction is targeted to start in 2018. Phase 2, valued at $29,500,000, will involve the purchase and installation of manufacturing equipment into that 50,000 square foot structure. This phase is targeted to start in the year 2020. The company has indicated that incentives are a very important factor for the project, and the project is in competition with locations in Tennessee and South Carolina. Tonight, we're requesting your consideration for two separate economic development grants, one for each phase of the project. Phase 1 involves a Level 3 Economic Development Incentive Grant in an amount of $145,700 over 5 years beginning in fiscal year 2021, based upon the Union County Tax Office's appraised value each year on the company's anticipated investment of $6.2 million. This recommendation is a deviation from the incentive guidelines in that we are moving this project up one level. Given the company's 50-year history of investment in Monroe, its strong wages, and the overall scope of the project, we believe an increase to a Level 3 is warranted. Based on this investment and holding all factors constant, including depreciation, the company would pay estimated ad valorem taxes on the new taxable investment of $181,753 over the grant period. Actual tax revenue, of course, to the city will be based on the current tax rate applied to the assessed value of the investment each year after depreciation. Now, Phase 2 is a Level 3 Economic Development Incentive Grant in an amount not to exceed $700,000 over 5 years, beginning in fiscal year 2023. Again, based upon the Union County Tax Office's appraised value each year on the company's anticipated investment of $29.5 million in new equipment. Based on this investment and holding all factors constant, including depreciation, the company would pay estimated ad valorem taxes on the new taxable investment of $879,450 over the grant period. As we do with all projects, we performed a cost-benefit analysis, and this project shows a 28.23 to 1 return over the first 10 years of the project and a 7.71 return over the life of the project. We also brought this project to the Union County Board of Commissioners last night, where similar economic development grants were awarded. Therefore, the Monroe Union County Economic Development staff recommends the award of these two separate Level 3 performance-based economic development incentive grants to Goulston Technologies in a combined total amount of $845,700 to help us secure this $35 million investment. At this time, I'd like to recognize Mr. Fred Edwards, President and Chief Operating Officer with Wilson Technologies, who's available to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'd like to just say that we appreciate your believing in Monroe and willing to reinvest in our city with your company, and we appreciate it very much.
This is a public hearing at this time. Is anyone here who would like to speak in favor? Hearing none. Anyone here? Oh, come on, Mr. Fred. I'm sorry, I didn't see you get a.
That's okay.
Come right on, Mr. Everett.
We certainly want to speak in favor of this project because, as Mr. Mail has indicated, we are looking at a number of options. Recently, in 2012, we received some economic incentive for an $8 million expansion. Since 2012, we've invested a little over $11 million in our facilities in Monroe, North Carolina, right here on Johnson Street. And we'd like to continue those investments and continue adding to our workforce, but more importantly, investing in the future of Union County and the future of our workforce here. And so this two-phase investment is one that we are certainly in favor of and would like to have your support on.
I'd say this today at Rotary, we were privileged to hear your presentation, and I for one was amazed that it was international and the scope was just mind-boggling.
Thank you.
And thank you too for the socks.
Oh, my pleasure.
You did do a great job today, Mr. Fred, and I'll echo what Mr. Kazara said. Of course, we were in this public hearing, but since you're here, I want to say certainly we appreciate the manufacturing company you have here, and it's not only that, you've built a beautiful facility over there, and it does a whole lot for the city of Monroe, both ways. It gives employment to our citizens, it looks good in our downtown, and it puts into the economy. And thank you for your leadership and all you have done for the city of Monroe and Goulston Company. We appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Any questions of Mr. Fred? Okay, anyone here who would like to speak in favor? Here none. Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition?
They wouldn't dare, right?
Sir? I mean, ma'am?
I said they wouldn't dare, I was just saying.
Oh, okay. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and take action.
Move we
Make a
approve.
motion that we approve.
Well, we got a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, Mr. Fred, thank you so much
Thank you for coming tonight. Thank you. Appreciate all you do.
The next item is item 16 and 17. On item 16 and 17, we're going to do a dual public hearing will be held for item 16 and 17 to consider annexation request, rezoning request at 601 White Store Road. Action on the annexation request and rezoning will be taken separately. I hereby open duly advertised public hearing. At this time, we're
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Doug Britt in the Planning Department. Tonight, presenting a zone map amendment request and annexation filed by Palmetto RTC LLC for the property located at the intersection of US Highway 601 South and White Store Road. The applicant is requesting to rezone the subject property from residential R20 to conditional district Oakton in order to develop 218 age-targeted single-family lots. The subject property being annexed is 75.96 acres, and the portion being rezoned is 73.36 acres. And let me tell you the reason for that, though. The annexation goes to the center of the road, which is where the city limits currently is, but the rezoning is only for the portion of the property that's outside the right-of-way. So there's, thereabouts an acre and a half, 2 acres that's in the right-of-way because our city limits go to the center of the road. So we're annexing the whole 75 acres, but we're rezoning 73.36 acres. 4 inches to the side, located along Pageland Highway. This is Pageland Highway 601, White Store Road. stated, all the properties surrounding in gray are zoned R20 City Monroe. The area right here, which is a blue, there's only blue here, but it's blue, is on OT, office transitional, and that's where the convenience store is down there, and also there's a automotive repair shop in that area. And then this area down here is on RA20 in Union County. The age targeted aspect of it, they're wanting to target adults 55 and older, but this project is not age explicit, meaning that there's people that's younger than 55 can live there, that can have families. There will be no restrictions on the amount of people that live there based on their age. They're trying to target their residents toward to be older adults. As far as site plan goes, as I stated, they're proposing 218 lots. And again, this is Highway 601 South, and this is where White Store Road comes off at this location. They'll have a driveway or access into it off 601 South, as well as White Store Road. And you'll see the lots are kind of buried through here. They've got 3 cul-de-sacs up here to the northern area, and then 2 down this area. They'll have the amenity at this location right here. Just go through a couple aspects of the site plan. They're going to be age-targeted, single-family lots. The density for the project, 218 lots on 73.36 acres, ends up being 2.97 units per acre. The lot sizes range from 6,000 square feet to 15,617 square feet. They're proposing setbacks for the front to be 20 feet, the sides to be 5, and the rear to be 30 feet. Open space requirements. The project does provide a good bit of open space, as you can see in this area right through here, and here, and you can see some of these areas, these little hashed areas are BMPs. That's where their stormwater management features will be, which is required by ordinance for the street water quality and water quantity. But you'll see they got about 5 to 6 different locations where they'll have treatment locations. And those will be in the form of either, it's obviously not designed yet, but probably in the form of either a dry pond or a wet pond, some form or fashion along that. The open space provide 29.65 acres open space, which ends up being 39% of the project. The ordinance requires they provide approximately 12.5%, so they're well beyond meeting that. Landscaping and buffer, and the applicant proposing for each lot to have 1 tree planted at the time of CO was issued. Street trees will provide at a rate of 1 tree per lot, and they'll be throughout the subdivision. The applicant is also provided to install a 3-foot tall landscape berm for the lots that are adjacent to Pageland Highway and White Store Road. So this area right here, along Pageland Highway, there'll be a 3-foot berm to help buffer these lots so they don't have to face 601 South. They have 3-foot berm with landscape on top of it to reduce any type of noise or visual impacts that we'll have from 601 South. Parking goes, each house will provide 2 parking spaces as well as a double car garage. Sidewalks, the applicant is proposing to provide sidewalks along the entire road frontage of White Store Road and White Store 601 South, as well as providing sidewalk on both sides of all the internal streets of the subdivision. The applicant is also required to provide a 50-foot stream buffer for the blue line stream that goes through the middle of the property. There'll be 50 foot on each side of the stream. That's just required by the ordinance. As I mentioned, stormwater, they'll be also treating for water quality and water quantity to meet the City of Monroe stormwater manual requirements. Transportation-wise, the applicant was required to submit a traffic study. The study was reviewed by both NCDOT and the City of Monroe engineering staff. Basically, what comes out of the study is that they will be provided a median along 601 South. So this access right here ends up being a right-in, right-out, which means if you're coming from Hilltop area, coming from Monroe, going down 601 South, you will not be able to turn left into the subdivision. The only way you can get into the subdivision would you be coming down the White Shore Road. Obviously, if you're coming from the south toward Pageland Way, you can turn right into it. So this will be right in, right out, which means you can turn right in or turn right out. The full movement access point will be at the White Shore Road, which will be able to turn either left, getting in or left getting out of the subdivision, as well as turn right. These are the elevations the applicants provide to staff. And these were presented at the planning board as well. Just some examples of the product they're proposing for the subdivision. Developers, since they are targeting 55 and older, they're proposing to offer all the houses to be one-story houses. They're proposing the minimum square footage to be 1,425 heated square feet. The proposed exterior of the houses will be fiber cement, stone, stucco, and brick. Each dwelling will have a 2-car garage with hardware to mimic carriage-style garage doors. The schools that will be serviced this subdivision will be Rockrest Elementary School, East Union Middle, and Forest Hills High School. And just to go over a few notes, because I know when it gets produced out, it's hard to see on your laptop. So what I did here, I just pulled out the notes part, and I'll just kind of hit some of the highlights of it. It'll be age target development, 2-car garages, concrete driveways. Any home built on slab foundation will have a 2-course masonry veneer skirt. The exterior building materials will be limited to fiber cement, stone, stucco, and brick. The majority of all roof areas should be a 612 pitch. The minimum heated square footage will be 1,425 square feet. There'll be street trees throughout the subdivision, and there'll be sidewalks, which I've already stated, on both sides of the interior streets, as well as on 601 South and White Shore Road. The land development plan for this area at this time indicates low-density residential, which will be about 2 units per acre. The planning board did recommend that they thought, even though the proposal is not consistent based on density, they did feel as though it was a reasonable use based on the location being less than a mile from Highway 74, being commercial uses in the area. The planning board did recommend approval of it, and your actions for council tonight, as the mayor said, this is a public hearing for both the annexation and the rezoning. So the actions tonight will for council be a motion to approve or deny the annexation request with the ordinance. And then number 2, if the annexation is approved, a motion to approve the rezone with a resolution of land development compliance is provided to you in your packets. I'll be glad to answer any questions, as well as the applicants here tonight to address any questions you may have also.
Question.
Yes.
What square footage, you're not gonna have all one size, so what square footage throughout will it be from high range? I know what the low range is.
There was concern that was brought up at planning board about the square footages, and the original request, they proposed to do 1,400 square foot homes, but from planning board to council, they did increase it to 25 additional square feet. The applicant has indicated as planning board presentation that they felt though a lot of the homes would be anywhere from 1,800 to 2,200 square feet, but what they are proposing right now would be 1,425. So, you know, could they all be 1,425? Theoretically, they could all be 1,425, yes, but that the applicant can better address that question. But right now, that's the condition that's what we're proposing, 1,425 for the minimum with a 2-car garage.
What's the price range?
Actually, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, Mayor Pro Tem, actually, because the mayor's walked away, you would be in charge. You
Right.
can go ahead and let it.
We'll get with you when it's
okay,
time.
sorry.
Yeah, then you can ask a question.
Still learning.
Yes, that's okay.
Doug, what's the price range of these houses?
The applicant has indicated, and they'll be better to answer that, but they said they were would be for their feeling north of 250,000.
1,425 square feet?
That's what they've indicated, yes. But the applicant can better address that price value than I can, but that's what they've indicated.
Any other questions?
So at the planning board, you're saying saying, Doug, at the planning board, they said it would be 1,800 to 2,200 square feet?
That's what they felt that a lot of because they feel though, targeting toward 55 and older, people will be downsizing. So they felt though that a good amount of their product that they're filling there will be around 1,800 to 2,200 square feet, yes.
Okay, so that's something that can be addressed when they come up then.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I can.
Any other questions?
Mayor?
Yes.
Queen Loretta had a question over here. Do you want to get her then or at the hearing?
I'll do that at the proper time.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna have,
No,
I
he,
don't know if I missed it, but, what size are the lots?
The lots range from 6,000 square feet to 15,000 square feet.
How does that interpret in acreage?
Well,
I'm sorry, I can't compare that. You know, I'm just trying to compare it to like my lot is point.
ma'am, as soon as we have the hearing, then you can come up and address the council.
Okay, good.
we'll get all that answered for you. Any other, council have any other questions? Okay, thank you, sir. As I said, this is a public hearing. It's on item 16 and 17. That's to consider the annexing request and on White Store Road. So at this time, I have some people signed up to speak. I'll take them as an order as they signed up. Mr. Bob, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I sat in on the planning board when this came before them, and I'm all for, some smart growth in Monroe. We could all use some of, especially on the east side. My concern is the density, how many houses are packed in there. I'm sure she's a little concerned about also. And also the developer. I wish I had a little more information on the history, if they've done other projects. Monroe's been burned before with projects half done, and the city ends up trying to complete sidewalks and streets. And Monroe's been burnt on. Charlotte's been burnt on some of those also. So I'd hate for a development to get half done, or totally done, and then the developer walk away, and we don't stick to the original plan. So that's my concern. Make sure
We'll get him to
have a
address
history on it.
that. Him or whoever. Okay.
Thanks, sir.
The next I have signed is Mr. D.A. Davis. Would you like to speak? And if you would kindly address some of his concerns in your speak, please.
I will. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman, Mr. Mayor.
Lady and Ms. Loretta's concerns.
The properties we're looking at out on 601 and Watt Store Road, our intention is to build a targeted age community. We can't restrict people from going in there, but that's our intention. All of the houses out there will be ranch, which means one level. So the retirees walk in off the ground floor, they walk in. They will have an option to do a bonus room upstairs, and some of the properties will afford us the opportunity to put basements in it. So the minimum square footage will be 1,425 square feet. The homes will average probably 2,200 square feet. We'll have a few 2,800 square footers out there. It's just whatever the market will demand. The properties, I heard your comment. Someone made a comment about maybe you, the developers coming in and hodgepodging a property. This property, it will be built I mean, the builders we're working with will be top 10 in the country. They build a first-class product. The entire property will be maintained. Can all of you hear me? Okay, good. The property from the outside of the houses, the streets, the grass, the trees, the shrubs, everything will be maintained by a homeowners association. They will take care of the property 100%, so that you don't have to worry about this guy not mowing his yard, this guy manicures his yard, and the guy across the street throws cans out in it. That will not be happening here. With that said and done, I'm excited about this property. I've even told some folks that I'm 72. I'm looking to downsize.
we'll probably put a house up there ourselves, mainly due to the location. The location is absolutely gorgeous. I've looked at that property hundreds of times as I go up and down 601, and I've always wondered why someone don't take the leap of faith and develop it out there. But there's been no development activity to speak of on that side of town. So we're basically willing to roll the dice and pioneer it. We've done a lot of market studies. It will not support $2 million houses, but it will support $250,000 to $500,000, and that's our sweet spot. So that will be what we'd be putting up out there. It's close to a golf course. It's close to the hospital. The traffic is minimum out there. We've got a good entry going in off of White Store Road. We've got the fire department, I think, was the ones that originally asked us to, or maybe it was the police department, I don't know, but I know that the fire department asked us to put emergency access in there. So we just took it a step further and made it a left in and right out. It's a real nice entry exit way down there now. Other than that, hopefully I answered some of the questions. It's going to be an absolutely beautiful community. And when you've got homeowners association, you don't have to worry about this property looking like a hodgepodge. It's going to absolutely be a first-class community. And that's about to where I know to say.
I'd like to iterate.
By the way, I appreciate everyone's time. And I do want to say this. I want to thank the folks over at planning, engineering. They have helped walk us through this, and I'm going to say thank you for the support they've given us. Everything's difficult, but with their help, it's been a tremendous asset to us.
Thank you for that, and we appreciate that. And Ms. Loretta, I want to be sure she gets her answer. She had a question about the lot size where she could compare or understand the size.
The 15,000 lot size of an acre is around 44,000 square feet. So, 15,000 feet is a third of an acre. And we're trying to, what we're trying to do is the folks that's going to move out here, they won't be mowing the grass. They don't want to mow grass. They're like me, I'm too old. And I do ride home there sometimes. But I just get to the point, I don't want to mow grass, so we're trying to make the lots and houses all different, but similar. By the similar, I mean so that when they come out and they mow the grass and they trim the shrubs and they keep the streets clean and all that, it kind of makes economical sense for the people that's going to own these houses.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that, one thing that's important to me, especially as a senior and gonna be downsizing at some point.
I'm going to call you.
Is that if I moved into a community like that, and I lived in a planned community before, to me it was important to have more property. Now, I was maintaining my own property, but, I just feel like with the size home you're talking about, I live in a 2,200 square foot home, but it's on almost an acre.
Right.
And that gives me great pleasure, to have wooded area and not be looking into my neighbor's window. So personally, as a potential occupant of something like this, I would like to see less homes and a little more property.
Well, we like that too. We're doing a lot of those communities, but when we start going up on lot sizes, we decrease the number of houses.
Oh, yeah, I realize
then
that.
Then the seniors that's on fixed income, they can't afford it. So we're doing a juggling act here, making all the parts and pieces fit together.
I guess I just have to say what.
Oh, and I appreciate that. But the one thing that's going to set this project off is our amenity area. We looked at putting a pool in. Everybody's got pools. We looked at putting tennis courts in. Well, I can't swing the club too good no more. But so we're going to put in what we call a gathering area with covered cabanas, fireplaces, fire pits, grills. It's called an outdoor living area is what it is. so that the citizens can gather there if they want to meet their families and all there. And we got double sidewalks on the streets. And you've got plenty of room, and it's safe. Where this property is at, that's to me, the older you get, the more safe you want to feel secure. So we've taken all that into consideration, and like I said, we're trying to juggle and make all the parts and pieces fit together.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
And I thank you.
just wanted to picture, how close the proximity.
They've been advertising some retirement communities, target A communities on TV lately. I think one of them's in Mooresville, and one of them's on, I can't think where it is. But it's almost identical to what we're going to do. And, when you see it.
Yeah, we kind of getting off where we're supposed to be, Mr. Davis.
I'm sorry, let me finish up.
I just wanted to be sure she got her question answered.
Oh, I did.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now, does the council have any questions of Mr. Davis?
Mayor, I would also ask if you have any further questions from audience members, they come up to a microphone, because for purposes of anyone watching what's being broadcast, and also for purposes of the record, it's difficult for those who aren't here to then hear what's being said if a member from the audience wishes to engage in the colloquy with someone up at the podium.
Okay, very good. All right, any questions for Mr. Davis? Here, in one moment, I'll get with you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Davis. Okay, the next I want to have signed up is Mr. Clint Lawrence.
Mr. Mayor, I'm Clint Lawrence. I signed up just to answer any technical engineering questions that came up.
Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Walter Gibson, would you like to speak, sir?
Can I move this? Ask one question. It was a question that was I need to ask on one particular thing that was on here. I'm Walt Gibson. I'm on 1711 White Store Road. So I actually stay on White Store Road, 601, right on the corner. My thing is I need to figure out this. If it was going to be age restricted,
If what?
how many bedrooms do we have in this place? If it's age restricted, why would you have 3 bedrooms? If it's 3 bedrooms. But the main question is how many bedrooms will be in these houses. And my biggest concern would be, since I stay on that corner, I keep the corner clean as possible as I can. But the whole thing is, if you start putting all these houses in here, you look at 214 houses, so that means you got 400 cars that are going to be coming out back and forth in there. So if you allow the teenagers live in the same facility, that means you come from about 8 to 1,200 cars coming through that end. So I mean, that's what I'm counting in there. So therefore, eventually, I guess I just want to say that I don't want to turn this project to Section 8. Because the thing is, I work real hard on that corner. I want to make sure people not moving up in there on top of me.
Absolutely. I understand that. Now, I understand that, and certainly that's what we want to see. We want a nice project in that area if the council association approves it, and that's what we all want.
I say, other than that, I mean, I don't have a problem with the project. Okay. Like I said, I just want to make sure I'm on the corner. Okay. And I have to deal with a lot of debris. I don't want to deal with 800 pieces more per day.
I understand.
Because the little bug people, they're not on my side.
You keep it clean down there. Thank you. You do keep it clean. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing. I see someone raise their hand. If you would like to speak, come to the podium, please. Give us your name and address for the record.
Okay, my name is Marcy Stigall, and I live at 704 Worthwood Circle, which is down White Store Road. And we've been living there almost 50 years. And we want to know, the neighborhood wants to know where the city limits is going to be, because we're in the county. And with the moving that and having that entrance.
That's not going to affect you at this time.
That's not going to affect?
No.
Okay.
City limits is what they rezoning is just for that one parcel. That don't affect you at all.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Is anyone else here who would like to speak?
I have a question, Mayor, if I could. I want to ask Doug, did we have any kind of notification for a meeting for the neighbors to discuss this? I mean, we have several of the neighbors here that are asking these questions, just like the last gentleman. Did we have a meeting where they could come and ask questions to learn more about this development?
The applicant did a neighborhood mail out to well beyond, properties more than 150 feet beyond the subject property. They didn't do a meeting, but they did a mail out where they put my information as well as their information to contact them with any questions regarding the project.
Because it seems like that we have some questions and some unanswered questions, and people have some concerns, and so I was just wanting to know if they had an opportunity to discuss that with a developer, maybe, you know, one-on-one or in a meeting.
Right.
And this is not the forum for us to be going back and forth, so there should have been a meeting or something scheduled to have the neighbors come and speak.
Well, most of them, I stand to be corrected, but most of them, I believe, that's asked the question, may have got the letter except Miss Loretta. She doesn't live close enough to receive the letter they sent out. So that's the information they want. That's why probably we get some of these questions. They didn't get that letter. Rightfully so.
How many letters went out?
Well, you know, hold on, I'll tell you.
Mayor, if you could have that gentleman come up to the podium so that, again, anyone watching this can actually hear what he has to say.
Yeah, no,
'Cause
I
can
appreciate
barely
it.
hear it and I'm sitting
I
up.
figured I could help Doug out with that question because there was probably between 30 and 40.
The question I heard was to Doug. I didn't know he was to be addressed.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right,
I was trying to help Doug.
He's assisted.
Between 30 and 40 letters went out to the property owners.
30 or 40?
Between 30 and 40, yes, ma'am.
Did anybody call you?
We had, yes, one phone call.
I probably got 4 or 5 phone calls.
Mayor, if we could ask the gentleman that came up to the podium, please identify himself for the record.
Yeah, my name's Bob Bennett. I'm sorry, guys. I just want to come up, Doug.
Thank you.
Doug, with the 4 phone calls you got, what, you know, were they yay and nay or what?
The phone calls I got, Mr. Gibson spoke to me and he raised the same concerns to me that he raised to you tonight. And the other inquiries I got were just inquiring as to what the project was. They were neither yay nor nay, they were just wanting to know what was going on, and when I told them what was going on, I didn't get, you know, the response I got was not a negative response or a positive response. They were just inquiring what the project was and what it involved. And, you know, part of the thing was too, on one of the calls too, as far as was the city going to go beyond this property to annex further properties? And, you know, of course, the answer is no. We're just, the only thing that's being requested to annex is this 175-acre tract, and that's all that's being requested to annex.
Any other question for Doug? Thank you, sir. Is anyone else who would like to speak? Come to the podium if you will, please.
He's talking about only having a left-hand turn and they're gonna go in from White Store Road. How is that gonna affect the people and the school buses and everything coming down White Store Road to get on 601?
I believe that'd be a question for Doug.
And I did not get a letter.
Doug, would you answer that, please?
As I stated, though, this project was required to do a traffic impact analysis, and that analysis was reviewed by Department of Transportation and the City of Monroe engineering staff. And there will be no access from 601 unless you turn right into the subdivision. So basically, if you're coming from Monroe, you would have to come down here, turn left, and then you turn left into the subdivision at this location right here. So if you're coming from town, from Monroe, you cannot turn left because there will be what they call a concrete median or pork chop at this location. And also DOT is requiring them to install a concrete median that will go there in the center of 601 South. So you will not be able to turn left into the subdivision off 601. You can only turn right off 601, and you can turn right out of the subdivision on the 601 and come back to Monroe. For you to get access coming from Monroe, you'd have to go and come in off White Store Road. And that study was approved. Obviously, I'm not an engineer, but that study was approved by the Department of Transportation and the City of Monroe engineering staff as well.
Okay. Did that answer your question, Ms. Dickel?
No, I want to know if you're coming down White Store Road and you've got the stop sign there, they are going to be turning in past the stop sign to turn into the community?
They're going to turn in right there.
Yes, okay. The people coming down White Store Road and the school buses, how's that going to affect a stop sign or a stop light or what?
Well, there's a stop sign down here, this location
Yes,
right here.
yes.
So that's not changing, there'll still be a stop sign there. There's no stop sign there.
But for them to turn in, are we gonna have to stop and wait on them?
No, they'll have to yield as making a left-hand turn to cross.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else who would like to speak? If you come back to the podium, sir, give us your name again for the record.
I think I can answer a couple questions. As far as the traffic flow, it's a great question, and I appreciate your question. The thing is too, with this being an age-targeted neighborhood, you know, the folks that we're targeting for this neighborhood, that are targeted for this neighborhood, tend not to be out in traffic. It actually reduces some of the traffic patterns because those folks are not, you know, there's not typically school-age children in here, and they're not going to work and things of that nature during the day. So that's a very typical, and there's been market studies done on age-targeted communities where the traffic is down significantly, you know, since, you know, it doesn't really impact traffic as much as a normal single-family residential community, and as well as it doesn't impact the schools because it is an age-targeted community. The second thing that was brought up was about the concern about, you know, the Section 8 housing, if you will, which we can appreciate. But if you take just simple math, and I've been doing this for a long, long time, and at 1,400 square feet, at a minimum, if that, you know, I haven't seen this done ever where it's just 1 square footage throughout the entire neighborhood, because you gotta remember, when people come in, they also option up things of that nature. But if you just take on an average ranch home, which is typically between, call it on average, $65 to $75 per square foot to build, okay? You take that times the development cost, and typically it's a multiplier of 5, you're gonna be at somewhere between 200, you know, probably I'd say 195 to 225 as a base house cost, or base sales price for that house. That's excluding any options, and most customers come in and they option up on top of that. The simple math, because otherwise, you know, any builder would come in here and they have to make money when they build projects. I mean, they have institutional people they have to report to, they have regional presence, things of that nature. So the concern is valid, but with the materials that you put on the house and the cost of the house, plus the development cost in today's world, it makes it very difficult to even consider being, I guess, a lower income, you know, a lower base price or lower sales price home that would be a legitimate concern. But hopefully that answers your question, because really the cost would, you know, from the building costs and development costs would yield a different type of sales price than what you're concerned with. So hopefully that does answer your question.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sure.
Is there anyone else who would like to address, like to speak? Come back to the podium, please.
I didn't misunderstand. At start, they said there would be no age limit, but they keep talking about the older people. Are they gonna sell to anybody, or is it just gonna be older people?
I'll ask Bill to come back up. Mr. Davis, would you come back up and answer that, please? Either one.
Pop in again. It's a great question. It's a age-targeted neighborhood, meaning all the marketing material, the home styles, the designs, all the above, the advertising is all targeted towards folks that are 55 and older. That's what an age-targeted neighborhood is defined as.
But you're not gonna tell somebody, a younger couple, that they can't buy a house?
No, we can't, you know, no one can tell, you know, a different buyer that, you know, but it is geared towards, like, you know, the amenities are geared towards 55 and older. Everything is geared towards 55 and older. We typically see over, you know, periods of time, you know, you don't see young families moving in, things of that nature. That's why, you know, I feel very strongly about it.
They're probably moving in because it would be cheaper to start off on.
Typically, well, and it kind of ties into the other gentleman's question as well, because when you build a 2-story home, it's going to be less expensive to build than a 1-story ranch home because there's more costs in the roof and the foundation, things of that nature. Okay. So that's tough to say. You know, it's actually cheaper for them if a family was looking for a 2-story starter home, if you will, it'd be a lot less expensive than purchasing a 1-story ranch home.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, sir. Come to the podium, please. We got
some empty chairs here on the front row now. If you don't want to keep going in and out, you'd be more than welcome.
When I pay my taxes this year, y'all buy a cordless mic.
I'm sorry? Okay.
Buy a cordless mic, we're gonna run across the room.
Okay.
Now, I'm trying to get it straight. If this is age restricted, which I can understand that completely, why would you have 3 bedrooms? What, is it 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms? What are you dealing with? That's the only thing I need to know.
That could be answered in many ways, you know. That's a catch-22 in a way. You know, some people want 3 bedrooms. I'm not gonna try to address that. I can address it.
Okay.
I think it's up to the builder. Who's gonna buy a 1-bedroom house with
if you
1,500 square?
downsize.
Wait a minute, you want the builder to answer that question? Mr. Davis, would you come back, please? Or your partner, either one.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, sir.
Okay, if I'm advertising
Just answer the question,
age
please.
restriction,
Okay.
why would I build 3 bedrooms opposed to 2 bedrooms?
Why would you build 3-bedroom versus 2-bedroom?
Right. If I'm going after 55 and older, assuming there's no children involved, and it's just 2 people, typically maybe just 1 person,
Absolutely.
would there be 3 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms?
It could be either or. Typically what they have is most of those homes, and if you look at all the statistics and look at some of the products that's offered in the Sun Cities of the world, the Del Webb communities, things of that nature, what they typically have is an owner's bedroom, and then they usually have bedrooms for when the grandchildren come back as well, along with a study and a flex room, which could be an additional bedroom.
Okay.
Because when those folks come back for, albeit the holidays or just whatever the case may be, they like to have the room for the additional family members to come back. That's
Okay.
why it could be anywhere. If it's a 2-bedroom, typically there's a study involved. So there's a craft room or study room, things of that nature, an office. Or if it's a 3-bedroom, then there's 3 bedrooms. It could be all different combinations. And that's why, you know, when you look at the homes, they do get offered in a lot of these communities. They have additional features that you can select and choose and kind of, you know, design your own home, if you will.
Okay, so typically what I'm looking at here is 3 bedrooms, pretty much, unless say 2.
Yeah, I mean, it could be either or, 2 or 3 bedrooms plus a study plus, you know, those things, type of things. Doesn't mean it's only gonna be 2-bedroom. It could be a 2-bedroom with a study, 2-bedroom with a study, dining room, living room, kitchen, sunroom off the back. There's all different combinations that can come into play. But think about also this, you still have to have the minimum square footage regardless of what's inside.
Okay.
So you could have one huge family room, an owner suite, and 2 bedrooms on top of that. Thanks for your question.
And just for his benefit, I do want you to understand, the word restricted is really taboo, it's illegal, I believe.
That's right.
You cannot, they're targeting that group of people, but that doesn't mean that a 25-year-old can't buy the house. If he can afford it or get financing on it, he can buy the house.
Okay.
So they are targeting that community. And then typically in targeting that community, they're looking for people who are downsizing, people that have probably sold larger homes and moving into a smaller home. But that doesn't mean they don't have children or grandchildren that won't come by and visit, or maybe even possibly have to move in at some point in time. So there might be some children there, but by and large, as he said, those people make less trips out of the house. This is not a starter home community, and you know, you wouldn't start off in the 250 range with a starter home. So I think that.
And just to give you some comfort too, if you look at the MLS average for the last 12 months in this area, it's around $170,000 to $175,000 sales price. Okay, so right now we are going to be, the project would be at least 25 to 30% higher from a base price standpoint. That's before adding any options. So that doesn't mean to be a starter neighborhood, that would be you typically at resale or less if it's going to be a starter neighborhood. This project, given, like I said, not to be redundant, on the cost and things of that nature from development and building, it's virtually almost impossible to be 170 or below this type of project.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Right. Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to speak? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing on number 1. We need a motion to approve the petition as meeting the requirements of NCGS 160A.
I make that motion to approve the petition for North Carolina General Statute 160A-31.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
This is just on a judicial district.
No, ma'am, this would be from the annexation perspective first. This is, you're saying that the annexation petition meets those requirements.
It meets requirements. Okay. Have a motion, a second, all in favor? All right, that'll pass. Item 2, motion to approve the annexation of the 75.96 acres located on Highway 601, White Store Road, by adopting the ordinance 02017-24.
I make a motion that we approve that.
I have a motion to approve that. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Item 3, motion to approve the zoning map amendment request and to adopt the resolution R 2017-62, the resolution of land development plan compliance.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that's passed.
Mayor, just real quick, I'd like to thank Mr. Davis. I think, you're Mr. Davis, right? I think you did a first-class job and a first-class presentation tonight, and I appreciate you being here.
Thank all of you and the council. Look forward to doing this project.
We're looking for a nice.
We're looking forward to it.
We're looking for a nice subdivision. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Brother Davis. 16 and 17 gone.
Are you happy? Are you happy? Are y'all happy?
We're happy.
Okay, okay.
All right, thank you.
Item 19, text amendment for unified development accessory to uses public hearing.
Good evening, I'm Carrie Hutchins with the Planning Department. Tonight I'm presenting a zoning text amendment request. Staff is proposing a text amendment to section 156.113, accessory uses. In 2013, a text amendment was completed to further clarify and regulate donation boxes. One of the main functions of the 2013 text amendment was to add language restricting donation boxes to nonprofit use only. It has been brought to staff's attention that under state law, we cannot restrict donation boxes to strictly nonprofit agencies based on the North Carolina General Statute 131F. So the text amendment has removed terms referring to nonprofit agencies. The amendment also requires documentation of approval from the property owner, only allows the boxes on developed parcels that are at least 40,000 square feet in size, limits the boxes or limits the number of boxes on each lot to 2 total, and requires the boxes to comply with state law, which requires certain information to be shown on the boxes, such as whether they're nonprofit or for-profit agency, and contact information for the agency as well. The planning board did recommend approval of the text amendment along with the resolution of land development compliance, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Now, just for clarification, for some folks that might need it and some folks probably don't, but this is for the accessory boxes at various locations where people put clothing or et cetera, whatever in it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I know exactly what we're talking about now. Any questions?
For clarity, so if there is a box as long as the required information on that was profit or non-profit, you have a contact person and who actually owns the box, it's legal, don't you say?
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, thank you very much. This is a public hearing. Anyone here who would like to speak in favor? Hearing none. Anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none. Any okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion, do I have a second?
Actually, Councilmember Kasai, if I could ask you to, the motion that's on the item at the very bottom.
Yeah.
So that you're
Motion to approve ordinance 0-2017-23 and to adopt resolution R-2017-58, resolution of land development plan compliance.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Motion made, and I'll second the motion.
Have a motion, a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's approved. Okay, item 21, Warrior and Warbirds. Pete, we recognize you at this time, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, Manager, and Attorney. This is an annual request to allow Warriors and Warbirds to operate a pub at the air show. We do this each year. I believe they've done it 7 out of the 10 years that we've had the show there. I've done it for the past several years, and since it is on city property, we need to have council permission to have it.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, okay.
Everybody see Pete's picture in the paper, the golf champ.
We're at item 22, public comment period this time, and I have some folks signed up to speak, and I'll take them as in order as they signed up. Mr. John Chapman. Was he in the other group? Okay, maybe he's already got his spoke. Ms. Loretta?
I would like to defer to the next person, which is Mr. Bill Little.
Mr. Bill Little, if you'd like.
I've said enough, or we've said enough for tonight.
You're fine.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Little, would you like to address the council, sir? If you will, Mr. Little, if you come up and give us your name and address, please, for the record.
Well, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you. This is the first time I've ever attended a council meeting.
Glad to have you.
And, but I've been working on, I live at 2601 Olive Branch Road. It's the last house on the left before you get to the expressway. And my partners here with Litter Busters have been talking about the tail end of the litter on Olive Branch Road. I want to address the front end of it, and I need your help on that. I take pride in how my property looks and how the road looks, and it's hard to keep it cleaned up. I fill up my rollout trash can full every week, just off Olive Branch Road, from Cyrus Edwards Road to the other side of the expressway. And some of the things we need your help on. This afternoon, I don't know if you can see, this is a little partial of glass. I picked this up in front of my mailbox today. It all got there today, that much. That's not counting nails and lumber and all that kind of mess. How does it get there? That's what I need your help on. I picked up at least a wheelbarrow load of lumber off the bridge last week. And one of the pieces was a 5-foot piece of 4x4 on that bridge. You come along 55 miles an hour, a lot of them going faster than that, Beth, faster than 55. What's going to happen? You're going to cross that thing on that bridge. So the safety factor is also something that I'm concerned about as a citizen of Monroe, Union County. So we need your help, whatever you can do to help us control how well the trucks are covered so the stuff doesn't fly off. For instance, 2 weeks ago, I came home on Saturday afternoon, and my whole yard and both sides of the yard was covered with insulation, loose insulation. It took a long time to pick that up. You couldn't see the ground for it. So whatever you guys can do to help us on that, I would appreciate it. And I'm not the only one on Olive Branch Road that feels that way. So
we'll have our city manager direct it to the proper department.
Okay.
What we can do for you.
Appreciate it a heap. Thanks a lot.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Come to the podium, please.
Yeah.
We on camera to read what we have to do.
I'm Loretta, the litter queen, and I have some answers for you. Actually, Union County is on board in terms of an educational program right now to enforce the ordinance that's been a state ordinance law. I'm not sure what to call it, but you can be fined for not securing your load and having it scattered. They are in an educational process right now. They didn't want to just start fining people, but it's coming to that. And this is what I would ask, and I'm glad that Officer Beth Green is here tonight. I would ask that we in the city, like the county now, is going to do what I call tough love You know, we've been too easy on people who litter. I would love to know when the last ticket was given for littering. I would love to know when the last fine was imposed for exactly what Mr. Little is talking about. And I'm afraid that it's been far too long since these laws have been overlooked. Also the speed limits, and I will be talking to the traffic officer. I don't know if everyone realizes, probably you council members do, that the city limits go all the way to the other side of the overpass. And when you're on Morgan Mill, before you get onto Olive Branch, it is apparent that it's 45 miles an hour. Once you're on Olive Branch, there's no markings, and people like myself, I've assumed it's 55 because, you know, there's no marking, and I'm now thinking I'm in the county, but I'm not.
Well, we'll ask the state to look at that.
Yeah, so we do need some cooperation, city, state, county. We've got to work together.
Yes, we'll ask. Yes, if you'll
Thank
come
you.
to the podium, please.
Yeah, one of the major problems,
Your name, sir?
Len Melanson, I'm the other half of the Little Queen.
Okay.
One thing that Mr. Little didn't mention is when they put in the overpass over the bypass,
that's what I was fixing to say.
they didn't transition from the road to the overpass smoothly. So on the north side and the south side of the overpass, there is a bump. If you have a truck, either Waste Pro or somebody who's doing 55, or a pickup truck that's doing 55, and they hit a bump, it's gonna cause a load shift. And I think because of that overpass and the uneven bump on either side, I think we're experiencing maybe a more than normal bunch of stuff that gets thrown out. So if whoever did the road work, it was pretty bad up until about maybe 3 or 4 months ago. They did come in when they started doing more work on the bypass. They put a little transition. They still haven't smoothed it off because there is a bump on both sides.
We'll ask the state to look at that. Hopefully, they may be gonna fix it when they get through it, which is
Yeah,
a year away.
but-
But nevertheless, we'll have the state, we'll address the state with the concern.
But I think it has created a little more than normal, especially by Bill's house, because he lives right
It's
there.
a good point, and we'll certainly bring that to the
He,
state's attention.
he finished or started what I was going to finish. Not only the bridge, but the transition from the old pavement on Olive Branch, where the new pavement is like an inch and a half, from what I understand, finishing it. They've created a mini speed bump. Now the cars are not too bad, but when these dump trucks and garbage trucks hit it, the tires leave the ground. I mean, it's that bad. So, and especially these that carry the containers that roll up on the trucks, they're not fastened to the truck. When they hit that bump, it sounds like a bomb going off. It starts about 6:15 every morning. I'd like to make some recordings, but I don't have them.
Mr. Little, we'll certainly pass that to the state and give them your folks' concern. Thank you so much.
Appreciate all your help.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you for coming. Okay. The next one signed up is Mr. Jimmy. Please.
Mayor, council, thank you. My name is Jimmy Chamis. I'm with the Derby Restaurant over here on Skyway Drive. I've been trying to get a little development there next to the restaurant off the ground. I met with Public Works, Russell Colbath, city manager, the mayor, not the mayor, the attorney, on August the 30th, and they gave me some ways we can somehow resolve my issue with the sewer line that's running in the middle of this property. I met with the city manager on, I believe it was September the 18th for the first time, and told them that what I would do and what I would ask the city to do. According to this layout, there's the building on 1102 Skyway Drive. I told them that I would, as they said, move that sewer line, and the city would tack on their part, and we would connect there at the street with a new line. I would privatize the line that's running in front of the restaurant all the way to the other side of the new building. With they're wanting a new manhole there. I asked the city for them to provide the manhole, and I asked the city also to have no fees, tap fees. They also come back with no tap fees, but he called it a flow fee. I don't know what the heck a flow fee is.
Capacity fee.
Oh, capacity fee. I don't know what that is either. So I asked again. I said no fees. And then he says he wanted me to share in half of the manhole project. In other words, me and the city go in on it 50-50. I kind of thought about that for about 24 hours, and I called him back up and I told him no. That's the only thing that I'm really asking the city to help me out with is the manhole. I didn't ask him anything about privatizing that sewer. I said, I'll take care of that. Whatever happens to it, it'll be my baby. I will pay to move the other building. And the only thing I'm asking is for you guys not to give me any fees on any of these projects. And I'm asking also for you guys to put in the manhole. The other thing that I asked for was sidewalks. Sidewalks in the front from, I would say, what streets, I can't remember, is Cedar Street to up towards the gas station. I can't remember what that street's called, but anyway, Pfeiffer, yes, right. From Pfeiffer to Cedar, for those sidewalks to be replaced. They're been in bad shape for a long time. And I was wanting them to replace them this year. Well, he come back, he said they're on the books to be replaced, but we don't know if it'll be this year or next year. Well, it would be nice to have those sidewalks replaced. They're in bad shape. And anybody can go up and down there and see. The other thing, there was one more thing that in our last meeting on September the 28th with the city manager, I also asked him, I said, there used to be a water meter in front of the old gas station that I was dependent on, that I was going to hook up to with the new building. Well, come to find out, Russ Colbath says, I don't know when, but that meter was taken out by the city. And it was capped, that line was capped off right past the restaurant. Well, I don't want to have to be charged a meter fee or a new meter installation, because I thought I had a meter there to use. So basically my project is the manhole, the sidewalks, the tap fees, and the water meter. That's all that I'm asking from the city. And I'll privatize that line, I'll take care of it. There's no risk to the city whatsoever from now until eternity, I guess.
What are you building on that lot?
I'm building a commercial use retail building. It's going to be in the neighborhood of 5,500 square feet. It might have 2 tenants, it might have 4, up to 4 tenants is what we're planning. It just all depends what you find or what the tenants are going to want. So, yeah, just commercial retail.
And right now, that lot has been vacant for some
For
time.
years.
For years.
When they tore it down, I bought it. And as a matter of fact, I bought it before they tore it down. They came to me to buy it, Gates did, because it adjoined the restaurant, and I bought it. And they tore it down, they pulled the tanks, they did all the work on the ground, and they just approved it a few years ago to be allowed to be built on because of the contamination. And I wanted to go ahead with it and see where we could put something nice there and kind of dress up that grass pit.
So Jimmy, you're willing to move those pipes and to privatize, is that correct? Is that what you said that you would?
I'm willing to move the sewer from 1102 on my expense with the city putting in their stuff so we can connect to it on Avon Street.
All right, Mayor, Mr. Chamis and his family's been having had a business in Monroe for the past 30 years. They've had a restaurant downtown before they moved to their current location. They've been conducting business. They want to open up another business. We've been giving developers incentives in order to bring businesses here. We heard one tonight. Of course, the Derby is not a multi-million-dollar corporation.
No, we're just, and some change, as the city manager said.
And,
we're just the change part.
Right. And wait just a minute, Jimmy. I mean, you're a mom and pop operation. You've
Right.
been good citizens. You don't have millions of dollars, but you provide good food. And so again, there's not anybody that's trying to compete to take him over to South Carolina or anything. He's here. He's here to stay. He's vested in us. He's vested in the city. So I'm going to make a motion that we go ahead and.
We didn't public comment, though, aren't we?
I'm sorry, what?
I wouldn't just public comment.
No, I'm going to make a motion. I'm making a motion that we go ahead and supply that manhole cover and waive those fees. And we do it for other businesses and people coming in here, and I think we should do the same for people that are in the city and provide a business and are good citizens.
Second that.
Mayor, I'll defer to the manager and also to the maker of the motion. The only question, I think, for purposes of making sure we have what exactly the city's agreeing to is what that cost actually would be. And I know the managers provide you with information on the various options. I don't know if you're hearing what the cost would be. So the only thing I would note as your attorney is to make sure you're not agreeing to an open-ended number, but there is some cap number if there's an agreement on that. But that
Right. The email that we got from the city manager is the manhole was what, 9,000, 8,000?
Estimated 8,000.
It was 8,000. So we're talking about $8,000 for the manhole. What are you talking about for a tap fee? Is that what you're talking about?
Tap fee, flow fee.
Tap fees are waived.
Yeah, waived. Capacity fee would, I don't have a number for that, but it would be in the range of a couple $1,000s, I would estimate.
So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about $10,000. As far as the sidewalks, they're on a schedule. I think the street department's already got that on the schedule. I'm talking about the manhole. I'm talking about these.
They don't tap fee.
And no fee.
The tap fee is
Capacity,
waived.
yes, I think she's referring to capacity fee.
Capacity fee.
Oh, okay, I'm fine.
Okay, so we're talking about what, $10,000?
In the neighborhood of that, yes, ma'am.
So we're talking about $10,000.
Is that for all four things he just
Yes.
expressed the need
How
for?
about the water meter? I don't know what that would cost to.
That would be part of the capacity fee.
Is that a capacity fee? Okay, good. $10,000.
Is that an exact figure and estimate?
No, I don't have an estimate, I don't have a specific estimate on the capacity fee.
The four things he's requesting, do you have a fee for that? That she's recommending that we vote on?
Basic
'Cause
items.
I'm opposed to voting for anything that I don't understand, and I don't understand this. And I understand there's been, now I hear at least 3 meetings, so there's no reason, in my opinion.
Yeah, we've had the first meeting down at the water department.
Confusion here. And, he is a developer of a piece of property, just like White Store Road and 601 South. I mean, that was a lot bigger project, yes, but they're gonna have to make,
The capacity fee hasn't been identified, that would be subject to his development plan.
Right, and how much they use.
Exactly, so it hasn't been identified.
Yeah,
In
well,
terms of the-
small retail probably shouldn't
in terms of
use
the
a lot of
cost of the
water.
manhole,
Unless
the
we
broad
put the rest-
terms, what Mr. Russ Colbeth estimated was approximately $8,000.
Yeah.
And I offered to cap Jimmy's cost at $4,000.
The suggestion perhaps would be is if you would set a number as a cap not to exceed from a city cost, that may be something you wish to consider. Or of course you can move forward on the proposal you have in place. The only other concern we have is that you do have policies that are in place, but council can of course vary from those to accomplish the goal you have in mind.
So what are the policies in place?
I think you have a capacity fee policy. I think you also have some development policies, but council can authorize modifications to it by the motion that has been made.
So you sent us an email and you said the fees would total up about $12,000, is that correct, that he's asking for? I'm not talking about the sidewalks, that's a separate issue. I'm talking about he's gonna move those.
Manhole, the only thing I quoted in terms of cost was manhole, which was approximately $8,000.
Can I explain something to Freddie? Mr. Gordon, this thing started with that line running through the middle of that piece of property. So when I came to the first council meeting, I asked the council, does the city have an easement running through that property? So that's when we had the meeting down at the water department. So they couldn't come up with an easement, number one. So they brought me this map here from 1950s. They said that line has been there since the 50s, so he says this is about as good as an easement as you're gonna get. So this is a unique situation. You mentioned Mr. Davis's development. Mr. Davis's development is a new development with no existing sewer lines attached to it. Mine, on the other hand, has a city sewer line running through it. So either take it off tax record, make it that it's not worth anything, maybe buy it, or help me develop it and help the money come back to the city.
Mayor, I don't have a problem with.
I mean, that's where it started. It started because this sewer line was running through that piece of property, and I came to the city and I asked them, does the city have an easement? So the attorney went to work, and this is what he come up with.
Well, I just want to correct one thing. The impression that you're being left with is there's no easement. What we found is there's no recorded easement that we could locate. But given that the way, and I think we put this in the memo that was provided to council, that every time the property had been conveyed, it was subject to various easements. An easement had to have originally been in place at some point to allow it to be there. And what we said is that if no one wants to agree there's an easement, then we just pull out the line, which I don't think anyone wants. So I do want to note that from the council's perspective, we did not say there was not an easement. We said there was no recorded easement we could locate, but that the conduct of all the parties since the property had been conveyed through multiple conveyances, including to Mr. Jimmy, shows that there is an easement at least somewhere in the process. So I want to make sure that is clear. That has nothing to do with the remainder of it. The other question I would have is, if you're talking about the fees, are you structuring this as just the city would pay for the project, or are you viewing this in any way as an incentive? If you're viewing it as an incentive, I would note that you can't then do it this evening. But I just want to make sure that we have this squared away. And
I don't think it's incentive. I think that it goes back a long ways. He's agreeing to take a big part of it himself, and in order to settle the issue, that the city pick up the remaining part of it, which I think is more than fair. Businessman has been in business for a long, long time, not an exorbitant amount of money.
I've already spent $13,000 in engineering just to see if we could go in any other way with this sewer without, going this route. And really, there isn't.
How can we put a cap on that?
I think you just modify your motion to be that the cost of the city would not exceed whatever number you said.
I would suggest up to $15,000.
All right. And I just want to say too, I think,
and that should be enough, I think.
I think that Mr. Jimmy's making a very reasonable request.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
If my question is, you said something about the policy, I want to make sure that we're not going contrary to the policy, or if we haven't, just not use the policy this time. I think we're getting in dangerous territory.
I would suggest that the motion, as I understand from City Council, basically grants an exception or a waiver to 3 city policies.
But then it would need to be specified and that needs to be sent.
And keep in mind a precedent that we're setting here.
That's true.
You know, I mean, I'm not opposed to your, and we appreciate the fact that you want to.
Like I said over and over to the city manager,
And-
it's a unique situation. You probably won't never get another situation like it.
Conflict
I would
question
hope,
goes much.
but you never know.
I mean, if you get another one, it won't be like it. It'll be something else crazy.
All right, I have a second, on a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Any opposed? Have two opposed.
I just think it's a bad precedent and enough, back and forth and discussion has gone on about it. And I just think it's a bad precedent for the next one that comes along. You know, we've had private individuals who've had questions about bills and water being used and their sewer fees and everything else. And we stuck to our policies and our rules and ordinances. And, you know, I'm really not.
What has a bill got to do with development?
Yeah.
Okay, that's passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Am I free to go?
Yes. Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to address the council? Public comment period. Yes, sir, 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes or less, sir.
My name is Riley Tolan, and I'm the Vice President of Shook Construction. We are the apparent low bidder for the John Glenn Water Treatment Plant Improvement Project. So I just wanted to let you know I appreciate the opportunity speaking tonight and bidding the project. And I look forward to partnering with the community.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here. Anyone else who'd like to address the council? If you would, come, Mr. Smith, you'll come give us your name and your address, please.
Good evening, Council. My name's Jennifer Smith. I'm at 109 West Houston Street. And I just wanted, there's been a blog that's been out on social media in regards to Ms. Duncan had donated some police cars, I guess, that were outdated or had high mileage or whatever. And several of the council members had agreed with that. And it was stated that it was a conflict of interest. And I think, as being a voter myself, I actually pulled up the information. Ms. Duncan had actually did a letter to the Inquirer Journal explaining the whole thing. And I just wanted to make sure that people that are out there voting are getting the correct information that they should see to make the proper voting, and not sketchy stuff that's put out there for just dirty politics, I think. But anyway, for people that couldn't attend council and see this by social media, I didn't know if Ms. Duncan would like to elaborate any more on it.
No, when we voted on that, it was not a conflict of interest. Is that right, Mr. Attorney?
That's correct. In fact, council may remember that prior to the vote, I provided you with an opinion that noted that that Councilmember Duncan was obliged to vote because there was no financial interest subject to it. And just for one thing, I would note for anyone watching, it wasn't that Councilmember Duncan donated the vehicles, the city donated the vehicles.
I see. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else who'd like to address the council? Public comment period. Hearing none, so thank you very much, folks, for coming. We're gonna go into closed session at this time. Ms. Little, you and your husband, Loretta, Mike, all you folks, thank you for what you do. Thank you for coming. All right.
Mayor.
Yes.